There are times she doesn't take a paycheck. There are times she reaches into her own pocket to make sure payrolls are in. Nobody has made the sacrifice that this remarkable young woman leader has made. Please, a resounding applause for our publisher and editor-in-chief, Eleanor Tatum.
Thank you so much, and please, let's give a round of applause for Siobhan Bennett. We put this breakfast together. She's a powerhouse in and of herself. That woman has run for Congress, has run for mayor over in Pennsylvania. She, I think, was the most endorsed candidate in the country when she ran for Congress. Yeah, as she said, she's run some national organizations, and when she actually said yes to coming to work for the Amsterdam News, oh gosh, I was thrilled. But thank you so much. I also want to thank Josh Parker, who's our digital editor with the Amsterdam News, and our entire Amsterdam News staff, who has been really instrumental in putting this together. So thanks for joining us today. Deepest thanks to 1199, the healthcare union, for hosting us this gorgeous shrine to both the labor and civil rights movement. And Millie, why don't you come up here with me? Millie Silva serves as the Secretary Treasurer of 1199. Of Long stated, her work in the labor movement began when she was an organizer for 1199, unionizing thousands of home health care workers throughout the Hudson. She then relocated to New Jersey, where she transformed 1199 into the leading union for nursing home workers in the state, winning groundbreaking contracts that included living wage, high-quality health insurance for workers and their families, and the strongest nursing home state staffing law in the nation. From 2016 to 22, she directed 1199's nursing home division covering New York City, Long Island, Hudson Valley, and New Jersey. She led negotiations for 45,000 nursing home care workers in Greater New York and secured master union contracts. She was elected Secretary Treasurer by the membership in April of 22, and today she holds the second highest position in 1199, and overseeing union-wide strategy and overseeing the finances of the largest union local in the United States. Thank you for joining us today. I also want to thank our underwriters who are making this breakfast possible today. So that's 1199, Teamsters Local 237, Carpenter Contractors Alliance of Metropolitan New York, and a growing list of other supporters in the labor community. The Amsterdam News, the nation's most influential, oldest continuously published Black newspaper, serving the nation's largest Black and brown community with our award-winning racial justice journalism, has been proudly unionized since 1936, when we were the first time that Black workers were successfully organized against Black ownership. We at the Amsterdam News relentlessly report each week on why union matters with our Union Matters journalism, an historic instrument in the ongoing work of civil rights and racial justice. Thank you for being with us. So we are going to start with a video from Kirsten Gillibrand.
Hello everybody, I'm Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and I'm delighted to welcome you to New York Amsterdam News' Labor Awards Breakfast. As the oldest Black newspaper in New York City that also saw the first successful organization of Black workers against Black management, Amsterdam News plays an important role in the U.S. labor history. I want to congratulate this year's honorees, Gary LaBarbera, Yvonne Chambers, William Wallace IV, and Priscilla Sims Brown. And I want to thank all of the labor leaders in attendance. Know that I am working to support you in every way I can. And I look forward to continuing our work together, building a fair future for our workers and our unions.
I unfortunately, the senator wasn't able to be with us in person today because she had very important work to do down in DC. And so we're going to get right down to our awards today. And Ms. Silva's going to help us do that. And first up is Gary LaBavera, President of New York State and New York City Building and Construction Trades Council. And Gary LaBavera has served since 2009 as President of the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York, an organization comprising local affiliates, 15 national and international labor unions representing 100,000 working men and women in New York City. In 2021, Mr. LaBavera was elected President of the New York State Building and Construction Trades Council, which is comprised of 15 local building and trade councils, 12 district councils, and state associations, and 135 local unions, and represents 200,000 tradespeople across the entire state. Since assuming his position as president of the New York City Building Trades, Mr. LaBavera has embarked on ambitious negotiations for project labor agreements to provide labor cost savings to advance major public and private projects at risk to stalling due to the economic recession. We are so thrilled to have him here today, and we thank him for joining us, and we congratulate him.
Good morning, everyone. So this is a great morning as the New York Amsterdam News is honoring Gary LaBavera for his commitment to Black and minority advancement in the skilled trades on today's 9th Labor Awards Breakfast, September 28th of 2023.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Gary. Hey, all right, guys. Thank you so much. Well, good morning, everyone. And the first comment I want to make is in solidarity with my brothers and sisters from 1199 who wore a purple tie today. So,
All right.
purple is the SEIU color. So look, I want to make a few remarks. First of all, I really want to say that I'm very honored to be receiving this honor today. But, you know, the honor really and the recognition isn't to me solely. Over the last decade, the building trades leadership has really committed themselves to creating opportunity diversity within the trades. We believe strongly that our membership should really represent the demographics of the city of New York. And this has been a goal, and without the leadership of the building trades, we would not have been able to accomplish what we've accomplished. And you know, today the argument that the building trades aren't diverse, there is no more argument. We have the data, we have the statistics, and if you go to a job site, you see it with your own 2 eyes. So we're all very, very proud of that. I want to just talk about a couple of things that I think are important and what we've done in terms of advancing opportunity within the building trades. It's my belief firmly that poverty is at the root of so many of our problems, and is frankly at the root of our social problems as well. Poverty leads to despair. Poverty leads to substance abuse. Poverty leads to people resulting with, they believe they have no other choice, and it creates crime and incarceration. It all goes back to poverty. So in the construction industry, there's only really one ladder up, and that's through a union apprentice program. So we've committed ourselves, and certainly in literally billions and billions of dollars of construction activity under project labor agreements with the city of New York, the state of New York, and with some major private developers to incorporate workforce development as a component. And what we do is we really focus on communities that have been marginalized or disenfranchised. I want to share a little bit of I think it's interesting, but it should be very concerning to all of us, and it's actually frankly, it's really sad, and it kind of echoes what I just remarked about poverty. When we were I was in the last negotiation with the Blasio administration for a 4-year project labor agreement, which represented $40 billion of construction activity, which will be going into negotiations next year with the Adams administration. I brought up the issue of how can we really help through this project labor agreement that's going to create all these jobs. How can we identify communities that have been marginalized? And in these discussions, I said, I think what we should do is we should try to set aside 30% of the hours that will be created for marginalized communities. And when I was asked, well, what do you think a marginalized community is? And I said, well, I think it's where there are 15% or more of the population within a zip code that are below the federal poverty line. And they said, well, that seems very reasonable. And I said, but it would be very helpful if over the next month or so, you could create the data. And they said, we'll do that. So when we came back to the negotiating table, there was a map of all 5 boroughs in the city of New York. To my chagrin, I want to let you know that 65% of zip codes in the 5 boroughs fall into that category. That 15% or more of the population are below the federal poverty. And just so you know, the area that was so far worsely marginalized was the South Bronx. It's just terrible.
Yes.
So this goes to the mission of the building tree, right? We want to create opportunity for people to bring them out of poverty and bring them into the middle class. And in the construction industry, the only true career path, people talk about jobs, we don't provide jobs, we provide careers, right? Through our apprentice programs and pre-apprentice programs, right? And we have pre-apprentice programs that focus on high school students from marginalized communities, non-traditional employment for women, we're bringing more and more females in, our veterans program, and we have some folks here today from the labors that are very familiar, that really were the cornerstone of a program that we so wholeheartedly embrace, which is called Pathways to Apprenticeship, which really focuses on formally justice-involved individuals that bring them into, and how, look, when people are re-assimilating into society, right, the first and most important thing is to have a job that will lead to a career, okay? That's the most important. So, I could stand up here for literally hours and talk about our beliefs, and I believe everyone in this room shares the same beliefs. Obviously, I want to be respectful. I want to congratulate all of my fellow honorees, and I just want to say in closing, again, that this really is a real honor for me on behalf of the building trades to have this recognition. And I commit to you that the building trades will continue to work with marginalized communities, will work to create opportunities, pathways into the middle class, because this is our mission. And our mission is to bring people up, get them out of poverty. Finally, I know that one of my co-honorees, William Wallace, is going to speak about this. I just want to say also that in this city and in this state, there needs to be a real housing policy. Okay? We have to have a real housing policy. And you're going to hear from one of the honorees that is so committed to the concept that we can actually build affordable housing and build it with a union model that will create those pathways into the middle class. Unfortunately today, we have a system, in my opinion, that through the city and the state has been completely corrupted. And we have for-profit developers building non-union, paying people literally poverty wages, building projects that within 2 years, tenants are suffering. This model does not work. And as we go forward, and I want to talk to my sisters and my brothers in 1199, DC 37, I want to expand our population of unions that are going to want to finally say to the city, to the state, we need to have a responsible housing policy, that we can create a model that we can truly create pathways into the middle class for the people that are building the housing so that they can actually afford to live in the housing. And let's lift people out of poverty. Let's create opportunity. And let's give people dignity There they live. God bless you all. It's an honor. I look forward to working with you all. God bless. Thank you. I'm gonna call you, all right?
So I think we're gonna need a labor summit to discuss this. So Gary, are we ready to have a labor summit on this
Absolutely.
issue?
Love to do it.
Okay,
The timing is right, by the way.
okay, so we're gonna have a labor summit on housing, and I think it may be time for the unions to come together and start building our own housing.
That's right. We had it one time.
And, if we think back to, ILGWU and the housing that they built, and all of that housing that's all over the city, that was union built years and years ago. And this was in the 1930s and 40s.
Yes.
And it's still standing, and it's strong. Maybe we need to look at that model and see if that's something that needs to be built together. So anyway, let's continue. And next, we are going to have LaVon Chambers. And Millie, would you please come up and introduce LaVon Chambers?
So, good morning. LaVon Chambers is a proud husband, father, and member of the Laborers Local 79. He is one of the founders and the former executive director of Pathways to Apprenticeship, where he has been involved since its inception in 2013. Prior to that, LaVon was the assistant director for Greater New York Laborers Employers Cooperation and Education Trust, and had been an officer for the Laborers International Union of North America for over 25 years. Throughout the city of New York, he often formed coalitions of residents, community-based organizations, workforce development providers, clergy, and organized labor to find common ground and create union market share. These groups came together for the purposes of creating partnerships, training opportunities, and good local careers for low-income communities. LaVon is a proud member of Laborers Local 79, and his mission statement is clear. Partnering with unions and communities in need gives us the opportunity to bridge the two things I love doing most: helping people attain family-sustaining careers and strengthening communities. With that, let's welcome and applaud LaVon Chambers. Sure, we'll switch sides.
Move up just a little bit.
So I'm not going to try to be as eloquent as my brother Gary was. And he is my brother, and I'm going to speak to you a little bit more about that. So first, I want to thank the Amsterdam News for doing this. I'm born and raised in Harlem, which means I was raised on the Amsterdam News. As a person of color, if you wanted to know what happens, you read the Amsterdam News. I'd like to thank 1199 for hosting this. I'd like to thank them for a few things, but I think sometimes people forget how when an active union is active and represents the city, how it's just a constant reminder that we need to fight, right? So just being there, existing, I'd like to thank them. So look, I've recently retired, right? So the good thing about being up here retired is, and I was never one to hold my tongue, but especially now, I could pretty much say whatever I want. Right? So just let me say this. When I look back on my career, one of the things that I find amazing was that I definitely never thought that I would be here. If you knew me, we figure I'm either the luckiest person in the world or the most blessed, and I don't think there's that much luck in the world. I started my career being anti-building trades, right? Person of color. I ran into an organization called Harlem Fight Back, right? Jim Horton and Gil Banks, right? And these were two educated men who took youth like me, and I was a youth at one point, right? And molded us into men and gave us something to do with our lives and fight for. I woke up in the morning knowing I'd probably get arrested, right? Through civil disobedience, shutting down union construction sites because they wouldn't hire people of color, right? Or women. Now, that's really important. I just want to pause and say, I'd like to thank Harlem Fight Back. And I'd like to thank Jim Horton and Gil Banks for giving me courage to wake up in the morning and fight. Through Jim Horton and Gil Banks' leadership, I ended up leaving Harlem Fight Back. And I got the opportunity to work for the laborers, LIUNA, Laborers Local 79. Anyone here? I did it because Jim Horton wanted me to, not because I wanted to. I wasn't really excited about going to work for a union, and I didn't see how it would help me or my people, if I'm being very honest. But the way things turned out is that I was in the right place. I'd like to thank the laborers. I'd like to thank Local 79 that once I was taught to have the courage to fight, that they taught me how to have the wisdom to understand that a labor movement is a class movement where blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians, men and women fight side by side. And I want to thank the laborers for giving me that opportunity to not only help diversify the labor movement, but also to be able to stand side by side and call people brothers and sisters who did not necessarily look like me. So I'd like to thank the laborers for that, so thank you very much. The other thing is, and like I said, I'm just going to say it, there was a time when we had an event like this, and this is quite a while back, and if you had a building trades person, and if the conversation of diversity was encroached, you might hear a phrase like, "over my dead body." That's just a fact. Nobody in this room knows what it took from Gary LaBarber to make that change. I would like to thank Gary LaBarber for having the patience, right? For having a lunatic like me go in his office and tell him the 20 things that I thought that he should be doing in New York to make sure that everybody got an opportunity. And this is the definition of leadership, so thank you. Thank you. Sure. The difference between me and all of the honorees here is that they are trailblazers. I am not. I've been fortunate to have people at every step of the way point me in the right direction. Maybe Harlem Fight Back, maybe the laborers, or maybe Gary LaBarber. So I'd like to take this point and just say thank you for all the other honorees. And lastly, continuing the work of Jim Horton and Harlem Fight Back, a lot of us got together, my brother Chimir in the back, and we formed something called Pathways to Apprenticeship, which is just asking one question. Well, now that we're diversifying the building trades, how can we dig even deeper? How can we go into the projects? How can we go into the prisons and make these folks union plumbers, union electricians, union carpenters? I'd like to thank Pathways to Apprenticeship because I actually got to have my fantasy be my job. Things that I fantasize about being able to help folks who are in a dark place become folks who are homeowners, right? A situation that makes me weep. So this is a formality, and I'll end at this. I retired. I got to retire with dignity, thanks to a lot of folks. This is my brother, Giassi Heaton. He is the new executive director with Pathways to Apprenticeship, right? So, as we all go around the city trying to help folks, and these are not jobs, these are careers. These are the kind of things that says, yes, private school, yes, vacation for the family. I want you to reach out to Brother Giassi and all my other Pathways to Apprenticeship. I know I've spoken too long, but thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you've done and everything you will continue to do in your retirement, because we know you won't stop, and you better not stop. So if you will look towards your Amsterdam News, that if you have gotten one, there's some in the back, there is more information on all the honorees, and also we have reprinted our, the labor supplement that we did several months ago, Hard Labor, the Fight for Inclusion in the Skilled Trades. So it is a 12-page supplement that's in the center of the paper right now, so please, please take a look at that. And next, we are going to be honoring William Wallace IV, the Senior Acquisitions Officer at the Continuum Company. Please, Millie.
So our next honoree is William Wallace IV. William Wallace IV joined the Continuum Company in 2013 as vice president. With over 30 years of real estate development experience, Mr. Wallace has been involved in all aspects of pre-development, planning, acquisitions, leasing, development, finance, construction, and operation of over $1.5 billion in development projects in New York and Miami. During his tenure as an executive with Forest City Ratner, a premier national real estate development firm, Mr. Wallace assisted in developing a massive casino, hospitality, retail project in Atlantic City, the first convention hotel built in Miami Beach in over 30 years, Lowe's Miami Beach, a power retail center in the Bronx, and mixed-income housing in downtown Brooklyn. Mr. Wallace previously served as executive vice president of a real estate development firm responsible for the development and financing of workforce housing. Mr. Wallace is a graduate of Stuyvesant High School, Brooklyn College, and Rutgers University School of Law. Upon leaving law school, he served as a law clerk in the Brooklyn Supreme Court. Let's congratulate our next honoree, Mr. William Wallace IV.
Thank you so much. William Wallace IV.
Go ahead, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. I brought some water up here. This cold weather's got me a little, I'm just going to drink that if I need to. I want to thank the Amsterdam News. I'm a third-generation Harlemite. I was born and raised with the Amsterdam News. I read my editorially black this morning, as I always do. And I want to congratulate my fellow honorees, truly men and women of distinction. I am a reluctant honoree because, you know, my father was baptized by Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. My mother was a devout Catholic. So the concepts of humility, my sister and I were raised not to accept awards. We get caught up in this kind of Asian, not Haitian, Hispaniola, Asian, like the alphabet A, celebrations, citations, proclamations. When you find a cure for cancer, give me a plaque. So this is my work. This is what we're supposed to do as human beings. But I have accepted one award in my life, the only one I have accepted prior to this. Couldn't refuse it in Amsterdam. I was awarded for the same issue we're discussing today, inclusion and diversity for business and union employment opportunities at a project in downtown Brooklyn. The award was given to me July 28th, 1993. 30 years and 2 months to the day. That's not an award. That's not a, in a way, that's kind of an indictment because we still have to bring attention to this issue here. So I want you to kind of bear with me. It's going to be a plaque on the wall. It's great. I need to wake up and understand how every member of Gary's Building Construction Trades Council and Local 79 has a job tomorrow, has a career path. It's not about me and an award, but I thank you. I'm going to, since I probably will not be here 30 years and 2 months from today, just kind of use my time to be instructive and to provide, as my wife likes to call it when she criticizes me, friendly admonitions. Because we are in a crisis. We're in a city now where the construction of residential housing with a workforce component is soon going to have no labor that's unionized. Nothing. You have redevelopment for non-union workers all over this city, and that has to stop. And when you look and kind of analyze, as a law clerk, as you mentioned, I kind of look at the history, I look at the analysis. One of the problems, and I say this lovingly, is that the union movement has become predictable. You know who's going to be discussing what issues. Health issues, got 1199, let's manage that. Education issues, got UFT, let's manage that. Building construction trades, here comes 32BJ, Kyle Bragg, now Manny, Gary, let's manage that. And anything that becomes predictable is at best uninspiring. It could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be a union movement. So when Gary tells you we need to expand our ranks, I mean we need to expand our ranks. Someone at UFT asked me, what do you think is the fastest growing zip code for New York City school teachers? Had to be something affordable that not paid much money. I said East New York, nope. South Bronx, nope. Staten Island, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Can't afford to live here. Affordable workforce housing has to be a union issue. Union issue. 1199, because when the powers that be see the usual players, they've calibrated for that. They know how to, now wait a minute, we know Gary and Manny, affordable housing. Wait, DC 37? Whoa, 1199? Whoa. That's the first thing. Second thing, then I'll be over. We live in a system, economic system, of capitalism. The critical component of that word is capital. When you delegate investments in unionized workforce housing to people who have no interest in union labor, you have boxed yourself out of the equation. I heard from Reverend Sharpton the other day, 1199 has $17 billion in pension funds. Do we know if a dime of that, your retirement income, is being invested in unionized workforce housing? We need to find that out and make it happen. We need to find DC 37's municipal pension funds and invest in that. Because this is how this works. You're retired, I'm still in the game, but I'm gonna give you some. When you're purchasing land to build workforce housing, and you've left it not to the union pension funds who could also buy and mandate union labor, but to some predatory hedge fund, the first thing they demand gotta be non-union. First thing. They understand the power of unions. They understand the organization of unions. So the first thing you do is remove them from the equation. So by the time it gets to the building and construction trades, Gary's like, why can't we do union? Laborers, why can't we do union? That deal's been cut. You dictate the terms of that development by utilizing your pension funds wisely. There are billions of untapped dollars in pension funds that can be used intelligently in this city, because the only way to get in that game, you have a handful of billionaires, because they have the capital, usurping the power of thousands of union members. That has to stop. So I thank you for the time. Won't be back here in 30 years. Had to say what I had to say. Appreciate the award. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. And next we have Priscilla Sims Brown, the CEO of Amalgamated Bank. Priscilla Sims Brown, Vision to Reality Award winner for her leadership in celebrating Amalgamated Bank's 100th year of service to the labor community. Priscilla Sims Brown is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Amalgamated Bank. Ms. Brown is a multinational board director and C-suite executive with 30 years of financial services experience. Prior to joining Amalgamated Bank, she was the Group Executive for Marketing and Corporate Affairs at Commonwealth Bank of Australia, where she focused on rebuilding trust and pride in the bank with direct responsibility for end-to-end marketing, branding, stakeholder insights, government and public affairs, and environment and social policy. Prior to Commonwealth Bank, Ms. Brown led senior positions at AXA Financial Incorporated, Sun Life Financial, and Lincoln Financial Group. She has advised several digital startups and served as the Chief Executive Officer of EmergeME, a digital health insurance broker. She was a member of the AXA Financial U.S. Executive Committee, serving as Chief Marketing Officer, where she directed all aspects of U.S. marketing and led global digital marketing initiatives. Prior to AXA Financial, Ms. Brown served as CMO at AmeriHealth Caritas, where she developed a new go-to-market strategy for the largest Blue Cross Blue Shield Medicaid company in response to the Affordable Care Act. At Sun Life, Ms. Brown served as CMO and chief strategist, where she negotiated and managed Sun Life's stadium rights, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl, and other major events with the Miami Dolphins and NFL football teams. During her 18-year tenure at Lincoln Financial Group, Ms. Brown led numerous leadership positions where she integrated acquired companies, established new businesses, and led the consumer brand. So this woman has done a lot. Wow. She's established the firm's first investment management profit center targeting mid-sized insurance companies. She also started and chaired Lincoln's first family of standalone mutual funds and served as president of the broker-dealer. Ms. Brown also led the investor relations function before expanding her responsibilities to include corporate and strategic marketing. For the past 3 years, she has served as a member of the Board of Trustees of Teachers Insurance and Annuity Association of America, a U.S. Fortune 100 financial services firm with over $1.2 trillion, with a T, in assets under management. She served on the TIA Investment Nominating and Governance and Corporate Governance and Social Responsibility Committees, as well as trustee and CEO selection committees. Ms. Brown's personal and professional experiences have enabled her to reach across cultural boundaries and ensure collaboration among diverse teams and drive successful outcomes for organizations. Please welcome Priscilla Sims Brown and congratulate her on her Vision to Reality Award from the Amsterdam News. Thank you so much.
All that. Oh, yes, you are. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, I'm really grateful to the Amsterdam News. I actually started my career in journalism in a Black newspaper, and I know how hard it is to do what you do every single day, and you've done it year after year, and it's incredibly important. I also want to congratulate all of my co-honorees and inform the rest in the room that the average IQ of the honoree panel has just gone down. I will not be able to inspire you anywhere near the way these men have done. They're just amazing, and I just want to say again how honored I am to be in your company, all of you. So I think most of you, we consider you all friends, and I think most of you consider Amalgamated Bank a friend. But I'm going to remind you of our beginnings, because I think it's so appropriate in this room. There were a group of clothing and textile workers almost exactly 100 years ago who got together and very wisely formed a union. That union quickly realized, not long after these people came together, that income equality was incredibly important, but also access to capital could make a difference. Because it's access to capital, it's the ability to collectively not only bargain, but then do something with that power that really makes the difference. If you fast forward 100 years, the conversation we just had around the importance of capital underlying and purpose underlying every construction project in the city and everything else that we want to do to make a difference for our families starts with access to capital. So they got together and they formed the Amalgamated Bank. And now, almost exactly 100 years later, in a few months, we are here today, standing in front of you, still a labor bank, first and foremost. We're very proud of that. My colleagues here today are known to most of you. There's Brian and Sabrina and Maura back there, wave. Those are my peeps. They live and breathe every day our commitment to workers' rights. We don't talk about a minimum wage at Amalgamated, we talk about a living wage. We don't talk about just the jobs of today, we talk about the future workforce and how we build that in a way and develop our team in a way to be thriving in all that's about to come. And we encourage others to do that, and we are blessed to be the bank for change makers, not only in the union ecosystem, but also change makers across politics as the largest bank for Democratic political candidates, change makers who are involved in social justice, racial justice. And underlying all of this, our biggest focus today has been around figuring out the white space for Black wealth gap. And why the Black wealth gap? There's a white wealth gap. There's a young people wealth gap. There's a wealth gap for those that live in certain neighborhoods. We're focused on, as my mother, the very devout Christian who just left this earth, would say, everything we must do must be for the least of these, and the rest will be taken care of. And so as we look at all the statistics, all the data, Gary, I was happy to hear you say that you started with data. All the data says that the least of these in this country, it was true 100 years ago when we started, it's true today, it's people of color. So that's our focus. You'll hear more about this in the coming months. We're spending a lot of time trying to figure out what's that white space. And this is not something that's unfamiliar to us. This group of union workers who got together 100 years ago knew the white space was access to capital for workers. When we started to look at this issue of climate, we knew the white space was getting organized and reporting climate so people weren't greenwashing, reporting it accurately. When we heard about the gun problem in this country, we knew the white space was correcting what financial services companies were doing to facilitate gun crime, which is we were not in a position to report it always when guns were being purchased illegally. And so we found the white space, which is something called the Merchant Category Code, to basically, what is that gap? What is that thing that we can do as a financial services industry to correct the wrongs, many of which we created? Now, there are some wrongs we've created, and I'm not just talking about redlining, as relates to Black people and wealth in this country. And we're looking to understand those wrongs and to correct them. Every union member will benefit. Hopefully, every Black American will benefit, and then every person on the lower side of the median wealth gap will benefit. We know we have your support and partnership. We thank you. We've had it for 100 years. We hope to always have it. We hope to always have your back and be there for you as you look to achieve even greater heights as unions and organized labor. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this recognition.
And now we're going to have some words from our phenomenal host from 1199, Miss Millie Silva.
Thank you, Eleanor. I'm going to keep it brief because I think that the focus should be on the honorees, and let's think about what they said. So I want to recognize that Priscilla was gracious in granting respect and honor to the fellow honorees, and also, but I want to say to you, you are a superpower, and the work that you do is so incredible, and that you stand as an equal with the fellow honorees, and I want you to claim that. Because I think it's important as women leaders that we claim our space as well. And so I want to appreciate you and the inspiration that your story has given to me this morning. I want to recognize that Gary spoke to the question of wealth, the gap, poverty, which is a systemic issue. And if we're going to imagine 100 years from now, who might be the people that will be in this union hall, and it won't be me, right? What will they say about where they are in that moment? And let us hope and pray, but do the work, that when they stand and come together and convene 100 years from now, they're saying that we actually have done something to eradicate poverty in this country. Recognizing the story of Levon and what it meant for me to hear about looking at how we understand that the work that we do in the union is about us as our people, in our families, and it's about lifting people up. And so the personal testimony is as powerful and as important as the work and the sacrifice that we do to help those that we may not ever know, and they might not ever know us. But let the work, let the story be something that then carries on to the future, and I thank you for that. And then to William, who spoke about the work and the blessing that it is that we have to be able to be here and to do this, and that also it is important that we think about what are the conversations that we need to have together as labor, how we can build bridges, how we can do the work so that we're not seen in these little categories, and then folks know how to use their power and limit our influence, and it is important that we do that. I would also say, though, because I need to be true to who I am, my mom taught me to speak plain. And we're in our union home at 1199. And so I say this as Millie, I do not say this as our president, George Gresham. So be clear with that footnote. I also think it's important, my mom taught me, that there are conversations that also sometimes need to happen in the family. Hard conversations where we say things to each other that might be difficult, where we have to challenge each other, where we might disagree, and we're gonna fuss with each other. And we sort it out, because there is love and intention that we are okay and we're always going to stay united. But when that happens, we do it. But my mom always said, when we leave that door, better not anybody else know about what the conversation was that we just had. Because we're not putting our business out on the street. And so for those who sometimes use opportunity to put our business out on the street, and sometimes perhaps are incorrect about the business that they're putting out there, I ask them to check themselves and to think about what it looks like for us to have the family conversation, because it needs to be had, no question. But let's do it in a way where we keep it in the family, because what I know is when I walk out of the doors of the 498 building, there is a world out there that is absolutely about capitalist system in which we live and work, that is about the billionaires who have plenty and those who do not, and that we as unions stand in the breach to defend against those who want to continue to earn and take more, because they do not understand that it is our responsibility to caring for each other. And what that means is, I will look for the least of these. And so I honor and I so thank each of the honorees. I so appreciate Eleanor and the Amsterdam News for the work and the service, and also the testimony that you continue to be about our stories, because we also know what's happening with the media, and that the truth, folks want to debate what truth is now, right? So we have to be the ones who are constantly saying, this is the truth, these are the stories, these are the facts. And with that, thank you for joining us here today in our union home at 1199. We stand ready. Let's stand arm in arm. If it's time for civil disobedience, let's do that as well, because it is necessary at times. And let's use our power and our influence to serve all of the people who we have the ability to reach. Thank you.
So we certainly know why Millie Silva is the Secretary Treasurer. Let's give another hand for her. Now, we were promised earlier that we would hear from Elise Bryant. And, if you were here last year, you heard from Elise Bryant, who is another powerhouse woman. Now, I was supposed to introduce her at the beginning of this. She was giving the invocation, so I don't know what you call an invocation at the end of an event. But I'm going to call it as a way to send us off on our day, as an intention of a way of having us go out into the world. Which I think is always important. And Elise Bryant is the co-executive director of Labor Heritage Foundation and director of the DC Labor Chorus, award-winning playwright and social justice activist. Elise got her start in the labor movement as a member of the Wobblies, Industrial Workers of the World. Elise is also a labor educator and taught at the University of Michigan Labor Studies Center and the National Labor College. She received a Master's of Science in Organizational Development degree from American University and was given a Lifetime Achievement Award from United Association of Labor Education the same year. In 2017, she was elected vice president of CWA Newspaper Guild, Local 32035, and president of the Coalition of Labor Union Women. In 2022, she accepted the award from the Amsterdam News on behalf of the Coalition of Labor Union Women's National Officers of Color. So, please.
Thank you, Sister Eleanor. You'll notice these stickers on here. This is largely from the building trades because I do a lot of work with educating from the National Labor College, and so I'm open to more stickers if you got them. Thank you so much, my sister. There are no accidents. There's only divine intervention. I was supposed to go last. So I could understand the people who are being honored here. Now, y'all know them. I don't know them, but as each person got up and spoke, I was like, I'm so glad I'm here. Thank you very much. It is really an honor. So hello, sisters, brothers, siblings, comrades, family. Good morning, buenos dias, assalamu alaikum, howdy. And I say to you that I say to every group that I talk to, welcome union members. We are in your presence, hand in hand together. We make the union strong. If this was one of my classes, I'd have y'all sing with me. And I would tell you this, I don't care if the Glee Club teacher told you not to sing. I don't care if the nuns told you to stand in the back of the room and just move your lips. I don't care if the rabbi threw up both hands with oy vey ganuk. I don't care if your children ran screaming from the nursery. No, mommy, no, daddy, don't sing again. Please don't sing again. This is not about whether you can carry a tune in a bucket. Sisters, brothers, siblings, this is about communion. Com is a Latin word for with. Union is the Latin word for one, and we sing together, we are in communion. So hold that thought because I'm going to come back to it in just a minute, but let me get ready to wrap up here. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Coalition of Labor Union Women, and yes, we are here. We were here last year, and we're glad to be back. We'll come back every time that you want us here. Thank you. It is my honor and pleasure to bring this outvocation for the 2023 Amsterdam News Labor Awards. This year's honorees, Brother La Barbara, Brother Chambers, Brother Wallace, and Sister Sims Brown, congratulations. And thank you for the work that you do to uplift our communities and to do with your vision of reality, open the doors of the House of Labor to the Black and minority communities in our area, and bringing them into the skilled trades. Everybody come on in this house. This is Labor's house. Everybody come on in this house. Everybody come on in this house. Come on in this house. You're welcome here. If you're looking for a living wage, come on in this house. So please join hands at your tables and join me in giving thanks to the founders of the New York Amsterdam News. Let us give thanks and honor to the ancestors who stepped off the slave ships, kissed the ground, and willed us to be here. Let us honor the ancestors who came from other lands seeking refuge from religious persecution, from poverty, and from war. Let us honor and give thanks to the First Nations, Lapina Nation, on whose stolen and unceded lands we stand here in New York City. Let us honor the picket lines and work and pray for the day when every worker who built the wealth of America with their blood, sweat, and tears will be given the wages and benefits they earned and deserved. In closing, let us remember that in our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We will bring to birth the new world from the ashes of the old, because the union makes us strong. Yes. That was Ralph Chaplin, poet with Industrial Workers of the World, my first union, IWW. The union took me to countries I only never dreamed of. The union brought us together, black, white, brown, immigrant, indigenous, native-born, LGBTQIA, and everything in between. In the name of all the things that are sacred and all things holy, let us say solidarity forever. And sing, when the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. And that's why we say, solidarity forever. Stand up. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. This is the new verse. They divide us by our color. They divide us by our tongue. They divide us men and women. They divide us old and young. But they'll tremble at our voices when they hear these verses sung, that the union makes us strong. Sing it for the ancestors. Solidarity forever. For the next generation. Solidarity forever. For the ones who brought us here. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. Go in peace. Go in love. Go in solidarity forever. All right, New York.
On behalf of the four chapters. Hi. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of the four chapters of New York State, Long Island, Albany, Buffalo, and New York City, we present this to your sister. Come on, neighbor.
Okay. Have you already come in this picture?
Come on in. And Long Island, New York State, where are our presidents? Come on.
Thank you all.
Everybody.
We're going to be down here
Together. Anthony, come on. Come on, everybody.
Okay.
Come on in. We are sister and brotherhood.
Okay. Solidaridad por siempre. Solidaridad por siempre. Solidaridad por siempre. Que viva nuestra unión. If you move down, I'm following you. Good? Good? Okay, we good? Good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sue. Yes, yes, yes.
Exactly.
Good to see you again.
Thank you for all for joining us, and we will see you all next year.